Hello, and this is your host Vakho, and this is iGaming Accent, brought to you by SBC Eurasia. And today we have a special episode. As this episode is our 10th episode, we wanted to go back in time and tell you about the story, how it all started. And we have today a great guest, Nika. He will introduce himself right now, but all in all, today we'll be more focused about the events, more focused about the networking, and more focused about what is happening in the industry as a whole. So, Nika, glad to have you today.
Hello, Vakho. How do you do? Thanks for having me. Actually, being the co-founder and MD at SMH makes me the integral part of SBC Eurasia, which is run together with SBC, of course, with our company. I've been somehow involved in the process from day one, and it's been an interesting journey, so we can speak about that.
Okay, I think that I'll just tell you my goal. My goal is to today understand what is happening in the back office of the big events that are hosting like 30,000 from like maybe 3,000 visitors to 30,000 and more. So how is everything is running? So we will slowly build up to that. But before we jump into that, I think that we have to start with you. You are the person that doesn't come out of the shadows too many times, and I have like perfect opportunity to catch you on that. As far as you are one of the authors of this podcast, and let's start with that. How you come up, how your team and you came up with the podcast. What was the idea? And maybe let's tell me a story about how you got me involved in that as well.
Sure thing. So, if we address the podcast, it's part of SBC Eurasia, right? And we've been doing SBC Eurasia for quite a while now, and it's also the part of big partnership which has started from Lasha Machavariani being the ambassador of SBC in Eurasia. It started back in 2016, I guess, maybe 15, when we saw that there was a great company which was doing great shows and was very quality and people focused, which was trying to provide the top quality of content, top quality of people, and doing the platform for meetings, greeting, networking, and business development. So when we saw this opportunity, and we were also actively looking at the regional events, we saw the huge gap between the quality of the shows, of the events, and Lasha reached out to us, and they had their good friendship back then, and he offered that, look, Russ, I'm interested to help you grow. Let me be the ambassador, and let's grow in our region too. That's how it all started, which eventually back in 2019 grew into the partnership with SBC. So SMH became the SBC's regional partner for Eurasia, and we decided that we would do the regional events and regional media. Since our region is Russian speaking, we started with Russian language, but due to the war and other aspects, we also added the English language. While we were doing this media and we were observing the audience interest and the audience reactions to different types of the media, we saw that podcast and video were performing much better than other sources of information. And also we saw that we were in a position that we could bring very interesting speakers to the audience, which wouldn't be necessarily speaking to the regional audience while they are very active in the global markets. So with this in mind, we decided that we should focus somehow on bringing the international knowledge and international expertise to our region through the podcast. And that was the way to making this decision to launch this amazing podcast, which you are handling amazingly, I would say.
Still learning, still long way to go.
Since all of our region speaks English, but with an accent. And we are also focusing all the attention to iGaming, so putting the accent to the iGaming. The naming is also spot on, I would say.
Yeah, we had quite a lot of discussion about what we should name it. I remember that there were a lot of ideas, but you know, from my marketing experience, I know that the first thing that comes up to mind, even though we like scratched the iGaming accent afterwards and we had like maybe 10 more different ideas, we still came back to the first one, and that is always a funny story. So maybe not all the first ideas are bad, and sometimes you just have to go back to it and have a different look at it. So that was really, really fun to like come up with the name itself.
Yeah, it was really fun. And the way we got the perfect host for this podcast, I would say it wasn't easy because obviously Vakho is a busy man. He's co-founder at one of the very interesting companies in iGaming, I would say. They're doing amazing job gamifying everything and increasing retention, helping easier onboarding, so increasing the conversion rates for acquisition for the iGaming brands.
Nika, maybe I have to hire you as a brand ambassador after this.
So when the company is young and when it's not grown to the massive scale yet, we all understand how much work it takes and how much time it takes from person. So we are really grateful for Vakho to be with us and to be able to dedicate his time, his knowledge, expertise, and efforts. And how we came to Vakho. So it was really some kind of like brainiac work in our team because we were looking for a person who would be nice to communicate with, open, with deep knowledge of the iGaming industry as a whole, not separate for affiliation or marketing or betting or something like that. The person who would understand it all, who would have hands-on experience from different angles, and also can be very open and vocal about anything, right? And our preference always was to have someone located in Georgia because maybe we will be starting some kind of the studio and visits as well. So we needed some kind of persona like that. And when we were thinking of who could that be, the only name who came to mind was Vakho, really. And then it was like very, very long negotiations. It was not negotiations. It was us begging him to be with us. But
no, the
actually,
fun part was remember when we were? It was in Barcelona or it was in Lisbon on the event we were, and you were like, when I was a little bit tipsy and drunk, you approached me and that was like the best approach I have ever seen in my life. Like that was when he already convinced me that I already agreed to all of this, and it was just like a matter of discussion like about times and everything like afterwards. So he found the perfect moment to do the business negotiation, I think.
Everything is perception first, and second, in Georgia we know that all the major business decisions are done while drinking, right? So
yeah.
When I approached you,
good ones and bad ones.
You were already in the process of making a decision. I just needed to squeeze in.
Yeah, for sure. I think that tells the story, and after that, rest is the history. We have done like 9 episodes already. This is 10th one, so thank you for that as well. For me, it was much a great experience. When I first started, I was like a little nervous, and today is already like we are coming to the discussion like pals. And I always try to bring out that connection moment that we just sit down and just talk. It's no like a preliminary thing, like we have to discuss this, because like talks direct us to there. But that was some learning curve from me as well, because I had to open up myself as well during the podcast as well. You mentioned really, really great things. So first of all, as far as my goal is today to understand the events itself. So you mentioned 2 things that really intrigued me right now. So one, a regional focus, and another one, international events. What distinguish regional event from the international one? So what are the parameters that you distinguish it with? Let's start with that, and let's then continue with other questions.
So for me, subjectively, of course, the global events are where you are finding the content and the people from all around the world, and discussions are mainly focused on the bigger markets like Latin America, Africa, Asia, etc., etc. And you see this, for example, SBC Lisbon, which is coming in a month, one of the biggest events, and I guess it should be the biggest iGaming focused event if we exclude the land-based operations, right? You see that in Lisbon, you can find anyone from anywhere, and you can get all the knowledge you need. You can get all the connections you need, and you are basically well covered for your iGaming operations. If you are doing it in Africa, you want to do it in Latin America, you want to do it in the white markets, you want to do it in the .com environment, etc., etc. Yeah, so you can find anything you need. For the regional ones, which we are doing together with SBC and which we are trying to carve out and make as valuable as it can be. It's more of bringing the well-established market experiences to the region, which is still evolving and still going through its gazillion time changes of the regulations and of advertising regulations, of technology development, etc., etc. So main focus for us here is that we see that Balkan countries, Caucasian countries, and Central Asian countries are somewhere near in their way of developing the industry. They are undergoing the huge changes in taxation, in betting regulations, in the advertising regulations, etc., etc. And to make this journey as smooth as possible and to give the people who are involved in these industries as much knowledge as possible closer to them and in a more convenient way, I would say. We're trying to do that because Central Asian people, it's not easy to travel to Europe. They need visas. There is too much time difference. They need to fly with connections
Yeah.
mostly, etc., etc. So we chose Kiev initially, and then due to the war, we moved to Tbilisi because we have direct flights from the region. It's very easy to get in. We have great hospitality, and also we have this SBC powered network, which always gives us the opportunity to bring people from the Western markets who have already gone through the gazillion changes and who have already seen what incorrect regulations can damage, and then they roll back to some positive changes, etc., etc. So we are trying to be the gap between the Western, very well-established markets and our region. But it doesn't mean that our region is falling behind because technology-wise, our region is
Yeah.
one of the main providers. Product-wise, our region is one of the main providers, and even execution of the regulations is done at a very high level in Georgia and in other countries as well, because we've observed how other regulators are doing their job and how Georgian regulator is doing their job. I would say that Georgia technically is pretty sophisticated. It's not that someone is ahead. And all the other stuff is just what kind of legal structure would be behind and what kind of regulations would be adopted by the government. But when it comes to execution, on the execution side, I would say that we are pretty there and we are not behind anyone.
So differentiating that means that on international events you can find anything. Like there are many providers. Like for example, even when we had nothing, we were there. Even like to find the potential clients who would work with us and like potential providers, learn from them, ask the right questions, like give us opportunity to like for example see what's happened behind the platforms, behind the operations, and what is there. And that was really good experience for me. But I've seen on regional events what is happening is that knowledge it comes to, let's say, your house, and that means that you are much more accessible to the knowledge rather than on international events. I'm not at some point like decreasing the value of international events. I'm just saying that when you have somebody you can ask, because like on international level there are 30,000 like people running around like non-stop, and there is always a chaos. But on every regional event I've been, it's like more chilled, much more approachable, much more time to discuss, to sit down, to find, let's say, the great value behind the knowledge that there is.
If we compare it from the delegate point of view, you are absolutely right. And you can compare it to approaching a huge listed company with internal bureaucracy and gazillion people working in it versus the startup or the young company, right? In the young company, you get full dedication. You can access anyone at any time and they are dedicated for you. Whilst finding the right person in the big company is very hard. The same goes with the events, right? So if you're going to a 30,000 people event, just to find the person and get his 15 minutes is tough because he also has his own agenda and he's overbooked maybe 4 or 5 months prior to the event, right? But on the regional events, first thing you see as a delegate is that you find all those people who are interested in the region. So most of the audience is your target audience, right? And then since their schedules are not that overbooked and as you mentioned, they are more chill, you can just occasionally grab a person, offer him a drink outside of the venue, get him somewhere to the nice pub and get your deal done. And also what I would see from our own experience doing SPC Tbilisi, which is coming in October 15th, 16th, by the way, don't forget to
Don't miss
come.
out on.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
It's that at least in our region, many operators don't like to shine and they don't want to be seen actively, but they're there. So what we've seen in past two editions of our summit was that all of the operators from our region were there. A lot of affiliates were there. A lot of providers were there.
And payment providers, platform providers as well,
Yes. And since they
and game
were not
providers.
presented with their booths and the exhibition, our hall and the smoking area was very busy. It was like
Yeah, I
non-stop
remember.
talking.
I remember coming with to stop the car like on a parking, and I remember like saying at least 10 hellos before I stopped, like because everybody was there and everybody knew each other. So that is like I think the magic behind the regional event. So you will for sure see the person you are looking for because he will be there and you will be there, and you can just grab a smoke, grab a drink, grab a something to eat, lunch or something like that, and that really covers that. And that was from my point of view the beauty of it. But at the same time I can say that for last 2 years I've seen like regional events grow, and as SBC and all the competitors as well, let's call it competitors, or let's say we'll call it like something else, like they are trying to do as many regional events beside the like main ones, because like we know that there are like 2 big events happening during the year, but this year I've seen like lots more small events, like small I mean regional or small or dedicated to one direction of the events happening, and that's really good as well. And from my experience I can say that as a startup and as a finding partners, we talk with all of them on big events, but like when we are discussing the same thing on regional events, it's much better and much more goes to let's say the business opportunity rather than only talking on the big event. So attending the small events is really crucial as a startup, as a company, as a representative, as an operation as well.
Absolutely agree.
One more thing that I would add here is that I've seen event grow for last 2 years. SBC Tbilisi event, like this is really close to me because when SBC event comes to your country, you have to be there. Like it's like that, like for sure. But at the same time, the growth was incredible for last 2 years. And even after coronavirus, everybody wanted to like really go out, and that's sure fine. But at the same time, it almost doubled in the last 2 years. I think that you are expecting another double this year, most probably.
We are expecting somewhere 50% growth.
50% growth. Okay.
Knowing the availability of people. And on both editions, we had some problems. First one was in the middle of SBC back then Barcelona and Sigma. Now we have the same problem. We are again between 2 major shows like Sigma and SBC Lisbon, which are collecting all the people from all around the world. There is a small gap of people who can't be there or won't be there, who still has the need to do the meetings, right? But as mentioned, we still managed to grow. And last year we had another rival. It was a big rival. It was the Euros, because since betting is driven by football, and most of the betting company staff were visiting the Euros, even from Georgia, and especially from Georgia, due to our national team playing Euros, etc. It took a big portion of people out, not just from Georgia. It was the Romania, it was Serbia, it was Montenegro, it was even Kazakhstan. People were already booked for the Euros, right? And this year we still expect to grow, and hopefully we will over deliver our expectations as we've done for the past 2 shows.
That's great. I remember the Euro was one of the blockers as well, because even I was still deciding if we should attend or not. And I remember the after party, and when whole industry was watching that with us, and I think that experience was one of the most memorable experiences that attending people would have. And
it was one of the most memorable events for me personally, because we won against Portugal And it happened at SBC after party. When we shut down the music, we put out the huge screens and like 1,500 people were cheering with us. And when it was over, whole city was in the streets. It was a massive traffic jam and drinking party. Everyone was drunk in the whole city. So people left really amazed, and they are still recalling the events who were here. And the ones who were not here, now they are trying to get in because they want to experience the Georgian soul, you know.
I think that one more thing that we need to add here is that Georgia as a destination, even though after the war was forced, let's say like that. I remember you mentioned that it should have been hosted in Kiev, if I remember it correctly. And
it was in Kiev first edition, then we waited for 1 year and we didn't do the regional event, hoping that the war would be resolved. It didn't resolve, and then we came to Tbilisi. But yeah, I agree with you, and I know where you're going.
Yeah, so the thing is that this part is really Georgian part is really good in a way that hosting hospitality. Yeah, you can, let's say, charm everybody with the Georgian cuisine and Georgian wine. So that was really a smart move, let's say like that.
Yeah, and what people also don't know, Georgia is one of the oldest countries in the world, I would say, with its ongoing culture. And when people come and they don't know anything, and then they see that first Europeans were found here, the wine first in the world was done here 8,000 years ago, and blah, 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 blah. The story goes on and on and on. They are really shocked. And of course, if you look at our sports performance, they are always asking, how come that this tiny country has this many champions in every aspect? Like in football, we have Guara. In MMA, we have Merab and Ilya. In judo, we have gazillion champions. You cannot even name
all the
all
champions
of them,
there, yeah.
etc., etc.
Yeah. Okay. One thing that always intrigues me, when organizing the event, what are the biggest headaches as an event organizer? What struggles you on daily basis, and when you are in rush, what you do, and so on.
If you are really interested in that, I can offer you a part-time job with us.
No. For sure, I'm not going.
And you can experience that on your own. It's a total headache from every aspect, because you have to coordinate many speakers. Like for Tbilisi event, you are organizing around 60 speakers, out of which you're getting the last minute denials because health issues, travel issues, emergency calls, emergency business, etc., etc. So you have to be.
By the way, you have
well
extra people. For example, if you are organizing it for 60, you need 60 speakers. You have how are you coping with that? So you have 10 speakers on a go or on a bench, or?
No, you can't do that, because if you promise someone, he needs to speak, right? Because this speaking opportunity is a huge thing for the business development, because most of the providers are trying to buy their spots to speak, and for the operators is the moment to shine and showcase their perfect operations, good culture, etc., etc. So it's one of the best marketing spots you can get in the industry, right? So you cannot have bench players for the speaking opportunities. The thing is, if something goes wrong, we are always reaching out to the friend and family type of people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We know that there are people who would be willing to do it and who would come just purely for the relationship purposes and cover. But since our panel discussions have always 4 speakers and we rarely miss more than 1, 3 speakers is spot on. So that's the mechanism which helps us to cope with that, because you have confirmed 4 speakers per panel, 1 falls out, 3 speaker panel is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So first part, speakers. What are the other headaches?
The event management and event day itself, because event day management is a total headache. You are running in parallel many different operations. It's the stage announcing, it's the audio visuals, it's the audience coordination so that everybody is notified that the panel has started and you need to go into the auditorium, or it's the lunchtime, etc. Then we come to catering. You need to get the best food ever, because otherwise it would not be SBC, right? For the after party, you need to find cool DJs, you need to find good music, you need to get the best venue, you need to get the bar well staffed so that nobody has any complaints. The security, because people get drunk, then you need to be prepared that things could go wrong. And it's many,
By
many
the way,
moving components.
one of the things that always bothered me was after parties, and sometimes how bad these after parties are, even though events are bringing like big names to the parties, but sometimes the quality of the audio or quality of the things are not that great. And I think that that operation headache hits that part as well, because some small, let's say, things might have a huge impact. If, like, I don't know, if the bus is not working there, somebody would complain on the second day because, like, yesterday I could not handle it and I left, for example. By the way, I did myself one time, and I know that you are the one that comes first but leaves first as well on after parties, because like it's really hard to catch you on after parties. Okay, after parties I got about the venues. So how do you select the venues? Because I remember that last year was quite a journey for the big events. Like we saw big shift from London to Barcelona, from Barcelona to Lisbon, from Amsterdam to London, and to Malta a few more times. And like, what is the minimum requirement of the venue should have, and how do you choose that?
For the big events, again, it goes to SBC. Being close friends, I can just guess with a bit more intel than you have, that most probably it is adjusted to the growth rate, and we always know how fast we are growing and what's gonna be the volume of people attending and volume of the exhibition floor needed. So to find
So you
those
are
kinds of
considering the future growth in the selecting of the
Absolutely,
correct
because
venue.
when the venue is signed, it's not
Mhm.
just a 1 year deal; it's like multi-year deal, right? And
Five.
since these big events bring in a lot of tourists for the city and from the municipality, it's also a big thing for the destination. Also, our industry brings in higher paying tourists than
Yeah.
any other industry would do. And that's also one aspect. For the big events, also accessibility is a major issue. And Lisbon was chosen for the reason that it's easy to access from Europe, from Latin
Yeah.
America, and from US. So you can get there. It's somewhere in the middle for the American and European markets, right? And also the perks that the municipality can bring to you, and of course the venue itself. And for choosing Lisbon, it was not a big thing to discuss. I guess again, I've not been
Yeah.
part of that, but since Web Summit is established there, and Web Summit has driven the city economy, and Web Summit has taught the city how to host big scale events, I believe that
That
it
was
is
one
one
of
of the
the
best, yes, one of the best destinations for any kind of big volume event.
I remember that when I was there, like, and when I realized that around from 80,000 to 100,000 people visit Web Summit during those days. And whole, if I remember it correctly, 80,000?
It's 80-ish thousand, but yeah,
80ish? Yeah,
yes.
okay, let's leave it at 80ish, not go to 100. But I remember 80ish to 100. But let's, I'll trust you more on that. So imagine that for one day, for a few days, that city totally transforms and everything is adjusted to that. I remember that even night, like clubs, bars, restaurants were like transferred in, like there was one street totally for Web Summit after party. One street. So I think that when we heard the news, the first thing that we were thinking is that such a nice destination, such a nice weather, such a nice place, and also it really could host it because we have been there and we know how well it is. Okay, that's for international ones. What about the regional ones and small ones, like what you have hosted?
For original ones, based on our own experience, it's first accessibility. You are always looking for the a location which is easy to travel to from any destination that is considered to be the region. For us, it's Balkans, it's Eastern Europe, it's Central Asia, and from most of the destinations, we do have the direct flights. Or if we don't have the direct flights, the layovers are minimal and you can get in easily. The second one is the weather, the hospitality sector as such, so that you need to be sure that good quality hotels are there, good quality food is in place. You get nice couple more days at the destination for staying extra days and getting like your leisure time, and Georgia is perfect for that. That's why we moved here. The same was with Ukraine. If you get in Kiev, then you can get couple days extra and travel to nearby
By the way,
places.
that is the recommendation for the companies that are listening to us. So give your employees extra one day to stay in the city after the event. Like it's such a small, let's say, gesture, but it is such a big thing for the employee itself because he knows that he's not there for work. Because I personally hate on the last day everybody is running with luggages. That thing is like very bad from my point of view because people need to rest after such a hectic event, in my humble opinion.
I totally agree that traveling and the lot of traveling which our industry does is really tiresome. It's really is not easy to do that, and most of my friends are like, "You get a great life. You're traveling
No,
so much. It's such a fun thing to do, etc.,
no.
etc." I'm like, I would trade with you right now because that much travel and zero rest. It's like you get in, you have 3 days of like non-stop communication, and it just stops, and you fly back. You have the jet lag, you are tired, you didn't get the sleep, your brain is boiling because you have to digest information like 10x, 20x time that you normally do because you made new connections, you understood new things about business, you understand that there is so much more to do than you are doing right now, and you are stressed that you are falling behind because the industry is always evolving and you are always trying to catch up, right? And you are stressed, you are tired, and again, after like your very intensive session of meetings, you need to fly out straight ahead. If you have 1 or 2 extra days just to chill, turn off your brain, make the information sit down and sleep on it and come back, it's going to be much more productive. And since most of the events are like Tuesday to Thursday, give people Friday, they can come back on Sunday, and on Monday they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
One thing, do you have some kind of ritual before going or after the event? Because I have one that I'm always using. Personally, from me, before going to the big event, I'm going in solitude for 2 or 3 days, like working from home, not hosting too many meetings, just really focused work. Because I know that even though I'm an extrovert, I need energy to have like inside me when I come to and like on daily basis talk with like 50 or 100 people, like small talks, big talks, like business talks and so on and so on, and meeting all those new people or existing ones, partners and so on. And afterwards I have exactly Sunday when I sit down with all the people that we were on the event just to put everything like random thoughts, random things like on the board. Not to work, just to put it there and dismiss and then come back to everything on Monday. Like that is my, let's say, ritual, tradition and so on and so on.
I would not call it a ritual, but for me, it's always the last day sit down and figuring out the schedule because my schedule gets booked and I just accept if it's not conflicting because like my days are very hectic always. Since we're doing business in iGaming, we are also in sports media, and many things are going on. I'm not really able to spend time on understanding my event schedule. So last day is always sitting down, mostly with Shota, and understanding who am I meeting, who other team members are meeting, do we have any overlaps, if we have, who is taking over, if we see that part of our team has been booked by some people who we would ideally delegate to some other people, we try to redirect it because, for example, if we see that some operators who we know and who we know that they are looking for example, media partnerships, are trying to book us, but we are already working. We know that, okay, they are looking for a new region. We would ideally direct them to our partners who are working in that region and avoid those kind of extra conversations, right? And the next Monday after arrival back to office, we have the same sit down with the team when all of us just pours out the new contacts, new connections, new information, and then it's diverted to our R&D group who digest it, convert into the CRM system, and we are trying to understand how to live with these gazillion letters in our database.
Okay, got it. So on that part, we are almost the same. And by the way, do you have some kind of superpower with a jet lag? Because like this year I experienced it so hard that like my system just broke down at some point, and I was like, help me please, somebody, like I can do meds as well, like, but
I have some kind of superpower in general with sleeping. I can sleep anytime. Even now, I can just
go
shut
to
down and
hell,
sleep.
go to hell, go to
So
hell.
what I'm doing is understanding the day and night shifts where I'm flying to. I sleep on the plane, off the plane, anywhere the day before to adjust to the new timing. And when I'm
I
there,
hate you.
I'm already there. And when I'm here, I'm already here.
I hate you. Dianis was like that, one of our guests from Entain. So I hate you. I hate him. I hate everybody that has that superpower. I don't understand because I cannot sleep on the road. I cannot sleep in the plane, and I cannot sleep anywhere. So
You are not tired enough.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, like most probably. But yeah, okay, understood. So you have
I
a
know you're
hack
not
there.
tired enough because you love to take at least one evening off a week,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least. So
yeah.
that really decompresses you. And when you are not doing that, you are always compressed and you are always like too tired
Always
to do
too
anything.
tired.
That's why you never see me at the after parties, or you never see me trying to get the spotlight or try to get on the stage and speak. I always prefer to be in the shadows. And
Okay.
if I get any extra 10 minutes, go and sleep.
One thing is that I really want to ask you. So this year, what should we expect from events like SBC Lisbon and SBC Tbilisi? So what will be new there?
SBC Lisbon is gonna be, I would say, the greatest show of the year as far as you're gonna meet all the people which you are used to. You're gonna have the great hospitality which you are used to, and you're gonna have the amazing after party which you're used to. The thing is, it's growing even more. So it's an amazing place to be. On top of that, if you are a fan of football, and I believe that 90% of the industry is. It's the great chance to see the living legends play as far as SBC is organizing together with SMH the Legends match, where the Legends of Portugal are playing against the All-Star Legends. And it's gonna be an amazing experience, etc., etc. And on top of that, if you are a kind person and you want to be charitable and support the cause, you can always donate extra buck for the event. It's out there. I would ask our editors to put the link in description of these videos and people could find it. It's gonna be a huge event, a huge match. Big stars coming, all those people who you loved in your late teens and
Can you tease
early
me
20s.
some? Can we know some of the names that are coming there? And by the way, that is something that you specialize in, because I know that you have hosted like 2 or 3 times like that type of big game, right? So I remember you hosted
We've
one in
supported.
Georgia, in Kazakhstan as
We've
well.
not hosted in Georgia. In Georgia, it was hosted by our friend company where we were supporting it in a way. We also supported the game in UK, and we've totally organized it in Kazakhstan this April. And it was a great experience for the people and great experience for the team as well, because when you get to touch and talk and chill with those people who you thought were inaccessible and they were like supermans, etc., etc. And when you're riding the bus with them to the stadium, you are accessing the field, etc., etc. That's an amazing journey to do. And the same's gonna happen in Lisbon, and it's gonna be even bigger because one thing is the match versus the Kazakhstan legends, and another one is versus the Portuguese legends, right?
One more thing is that what we really love on our podcast is that we have a tradition, like a blind question from the previous guest. So Mikael was kind enough to leave you with a question. That is, I think, one of the good questions as well. And you will also have opportunity to leave our blind question, next question to our next guest, by the way, which we don't know for sure. So the question from Michael was, what is the most important lesson you learned while working in iGaming?
The most important lesson. That's a tough one.
I know.
There are
I
many.
know.
There are many.
Choose one.
I would say that most probably don't be afraid and put in the work. Because what I've done myself and what I see other people do or not do is that some people get scared of the big scale or new project, etc., and they always don't do something when they're saying that they've done everything they could do, but they know they've not done everything and they fail, and then they have the reason why they failed. But if you just do everything that you can and you reach out for the information, ask questions, ask for help, industry is pretty open and people are pretty friendly, right? You can understand everything, you can structure everything, and you can achieve anything. For me, it was like 2016, 2018 years, which was a really huge shift from my ordinary scale to a new scale where I had to challenge myself in a way that for almost 2 years I had like 3-4 hours of sleep per night, not more. And I needed to understand so many things. Like I was very good from the tech side, but I didn't have much of the operational knowledge, right? And back in the day, I needed to understand how the operations should be set up in the multi-territory, multi-brand operations. I needed to understand how to manage
Multicultural.
people so that you don't lose money in every single way it's possible to do. I had to see that people are dishonest and they are trying to steal everything from you. I needed to understand how to manage that so that the company operations don't fall apart and the extra people get extracted. So it was a really, really tough 2 years for my life, but it was the most important 2 years of my life, I would say, because that's when I understood how the business works in general and how the iGaming sector works. And after that, I believe that I'm prepared for anything. And what I've
So,
seen other people don't do is don't take those 2 years with 3-4 hours of sleep. They better find something to where to rest, find the person who didn't respond and don't knock on 100 doors, find some tech disadvantages of their technology which doesn't allow them to do something, etc., etc. So I would say that this is the biggest lesson that the industry taught me.
okay, I cannot add anything to that. That is like quite bad. So putting into the work, putting in the work and working your ass off as you are beginning in the industry, I think that is the best, let's say, seed that you can plant for yourself, and you will for sure have a really good, let's say, autumn afterwards, like 1 year or 2 years, because you will know all the different things. You will know the industry from inside out, and you will much better navigate through the challenges that comes your way. And you will be like, I really love this part that you should be like a Victorinox knife, not focusing only on one thing, but really look out of the, let's say, friendly or like on horizontal level, you should look after other things that is happening. So if you are really good in affiliation, look at the marketing, look at the sales as well, and look into that. If you are really good at technology, look at other things. So that is really important to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you might be a very good professional, but if you don't understand the other teams which are fulfilling the full operations, and if you don't understand what overhead is going on their side or what they are thinking of or how they're operating, it would be unimaginable that you succeed. But if
Yeah.
you are the top expert in your niche and in parallel you understand how the other things are moving, you are always spot on because from your own direction you are the best and you are also adjusting to all the other possibilities or the disadvantages that are around you, and you can provide the suitable solutions but not the best solutions, because in life the perfect solution never works.
Yeah.
The solution which fits best, it is the best solution.
I always give this example to the ones that are entering the industry is that understand the value chain. I'm calling it value chain. Understand what your profession does, what your thing does, what's happening before that. So, for example, like I was giving always this thing. I had really good experience and really good relationship with legal team always, because I knew that navigating through the different aspects of the business should always go through them. And I was like their favorite marketing guy because I always listened to them. I knew their, let's say, ups and downs, and I knew that what would happen. And also the same things apply when in marketing. I understood the product itself, and I was in close relationship with the product. I was close in relationship with tech people. And that really brings out all the best things, because you are not only thinking about marketing, but you are thinking about the strategy itself, and you are thinking about how you are able to make it happen, not just from your perspective, but from the organization perspective, from the idea to execution. Okay, that's good. One thing, what is your question for our next guest?
Why stay in iGaming?
Why stay?
What's the cause of being in this sector?
I think all other sectors are boring. My answer to that would be that.
I'll answer when we cut. That's the question.
Okay.
So, people, audience, thanks for being here with
You
us.
are wrapping
Thanks
up for me.
Thanks
Okay, go
for
ahead.
staying with us. Thanks for listening. Hope we were not boring. At least it was very fun for us to chat, because even though we both live in Tbilisi, we barely see each other, and I'm
We
always
see each
happy
other in
to.
the gym, by the way, in the mornings. Like, that is the best 10 minutes, like, let's say like that.
Yeah, so I'm always happy to see Vakho, and I always support people to meet him and greet him and talk business with him. He's gonna be in Lisbon. He's gonna be at SBC Tbilisi. Don't miss a chance to meet him and discuss business. Again, they are doing amazing job on gamifying everything and supporting you to increase
Meet
your
our new ambassador,
retention,
by the way.
make acquisition easier, because one thing is when you are asking a person to register, even if you are giving away bonus, and another one is if you are attracting him to the new adventure. And that's what the guys do. And also I'm going to be at the both events, so don't miss the chance to see Vakho and maybe even meet me.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. Thank you, Nika, one more time. This was iGaming Accent, brought to you by SBC Eurasia. You can subscribe to us in your favorite channel, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, like we are everywhere. And see you exactly in 2 weeks. Bye.
Cheers.